La la. Hello peeps and welcome to Project Hospital. Welcome back to Campaign 3, where we have been taking deep looks into different aspects of the hospital and how they work and the staff and all that sort of business. And we've been covering mostly nurses for the last few episodes. That includes nurses on the wards, nurses that move stretchers around and do patient care, nurses that also work on surgery. But the one nurse that we haven't really covered is the reception nurse. Now, there's not a lot to say about the reception nurse, more about reception. So those of you that play know that you don't actually need a nurse on reception for it to function. And what we're going to mainly cover today, I think, is probably the clinics, the walk-in aspects. Oh dear, somebody just died. The walk-in clinics and how we operate patients through that process. And one of the things when you're building a reception, the absolute minimum that you would need to have is the queuing machine. We've got them here. And when you place a queuing machine, you can see here that the info TV is highlighted blue because this TV is what calls the next patient. You see, next patient. So it's just a queuing system, and these things pair together. They don't need to be sat with each other. I can put this over here, and it doesn't matter, just as long as they're both there, and then it works. And then patients can be called in. In fact, do you know they don't even need that? So let's just cover this a minute, and we'll get to this nurse. So we've got here. So we're ignoring an awful lot going on in the hospital at the moment. This is the emergency department, and these are our doctor's offices. And you get these doctor offices and walk-in clinics on all of these departments as well, but emergency for sure is the busiest. And you can see here that we have a lovely doctor, Jessica Allen, working in this particular room. I always tend to like my clinic doctors to have advanced diagnosis. This allows for any patients that they see to have differential diagnosis, which can be really, really useful. I highly recommend it. It does make them a little bit more expensive though. Now, and a good trait for them to have, I don't think she has it here, no, are the doctors that don't create any discomfort during examinations. A really good trait for these doctors to have. And you can see here that we've put her working on diagnostic and observation, but because we've put her in this room, this is the only place that she'll work. This is all that we need to worry about. Now, if this was a really small place and we didn't have a reception nurse and we didn't have this queuing system, Jessica Allen would come out of her room and actually come to reception and call the next patient in, taking up a little bit of time. This queuing machine cuts down that time. So it means that Jessica here can stay sitting at her desk and she can just call them through this electronic system, saving her getting up and moving all the time. So that's really nice. This is a nice little setup. Now, the downside of this, and a benefit that our last type of nurse brings, and you can see here that we've employed a receptionist nurse, specifically designed to do this role. And I've also made sure that she's a nice member of staff. So, it's always nice to be greeted by somebody who is being smiley and nice, right? Is there enough free nurses to transport the patient? Right, interesting. Let's just deal with this, shall we? So up in ICU, it looks like we don't have enough transportation nurses. Where is this patient? Right, okay, but so they're supposed to be going to the ICU, just because I was trying to free up a few beds, which I probably don't need to do now. So some transport nurses, that we've got one during the day and one in the evening. Not particularly brilliant. What we'll do, I think, is we'll move Thomas Lee over here, and we'll also move Susan Scott over here. And then what we'll do is we'll get more. So we want nice, cheap nurses. Oh yeah, look, there's a couple. We want nice, cheap nurses for transportation. That was something that we discussed. And then we put them here. We take patient transfers is the only thing that they do. And you know what? I think we'll get a second. And look, they have the fast trait. They also are better working at night, unfortunately. So not quite what I would like. Let's refresh these. What do we have here? There's a couple of cheap ones, but they've got dirty feet, so I really don't want them around. They can be a bit depressed, but that's okay. We'll go with her. So we'll just up the daytime transportation nurses, although that was a knock-on from last night. Maybe I should have got that other one. Oh well. There we go. So we should be able to get them moved. So off they run. Look. Now, so the benefit that a receptionist brings is we can see John here walking in. Auto-saving. Come on, John. And what she will do is she will triage the patient. So this means that she will prioritize him. So we can see, oh, he's going to a different department. That's super cool. You? Here. Triage in reception. So she will get a rough idea of his possible, sort of symptoms, possible diagnosis. Just get a very general idea of how severe his case might be, and then give him a level of severity and put him ordered in the queue, to mark that. So if somebody comes in who's really, really desperately ill, her benefit is that she will be able to put them to the top of the queue and try and rush them through the process, whereas opposed to somebody that might just need a bit of numbing ointment, right? So that's the benefit of a triage nurse. So she isn't absolutely necessary, but she does come with a huge benefit. And we've still got the electronical system as well. So again, Jessica here doesn't need to come out and call them. So even though they're being triaged, we still want this so that they don't have to keep walking out to reception saying, this patient next, please. So that's also really, really good. So that's the last type of nurse that we have, our reception nurse. And a nice thing that you can do when building reception, we could change reception. And people say to me all the time, I'd like to see you do some building. So shall we do that? So we could change the reception up just a little bit, couldn't we? Although I do kind of like this reception. But you could build reception so that she has a little room built in. Like the reception could be a little bit of a room that has certain things like a coffee mug and that. I probably wouldn't put a toilet in. And you know what? We won't do that right now because we might look at doing one of these clinical offices. But yeah, you could build a little room. You could have like little pillars and stuff like that. So we might look at doing something like that, because what I've noticed about patients that are spending a lot of time in reception is that they get bored, and so there is definitely something that we could be doing here to help that. And pillars means that we can hang posters, and posters help reduce boredom, but we'll come to that another time. So I want to move on to doctors, because we haven't really covered doctors, and we've been neglecting clinics in this hospital now for quite a while and it is causing a few problems. Something that we covered in the past though with these departments is that you do get a certainty level, and it does say here that you set up the value of certainty which will be used to confirm diagnoses. So if we put it on high, they will do many more examinations than they probably need for most patients, but they'll always be absolutely certain of the diagnosis, and the chances of anybody coming back with the wrong diagnosis I think is actually 0, but certainly extremely low. At medium, which is what we've got most of them except for the ICU, which we keep at high, means that You'll get the odd one that comes back where the diagnosis was incorrect. So a patient may return a little bit worse for wear than they were the last time that they were in, and you'll need to go through the process again to find out what's wrong with them. But it's not too bad. It doesn't happen that often, and it also reduces the amount of tests that you put them through, which tends to reduce strain on X-ray and the labs in particular. If you put it on low, you get so many returning with the wrong diagnosis that I honestly don't think it's really worth having it on low. I don't think you gain anything by it. Yes, you get patients out the door really quickly, but you get most of them coming back the next day, so what's the point in that? So there's that, worth covering when dealing with the clinics. And as I've mentioned with the clinic doctors, I do like to have that advanced diagnosis because it gives, with a patient, so she's sending her for x-ray. Hey, she's supposed to have the differential. Oh, she did it. She did the differential diagnosis, and she actually couldn't tell which of these two that it was. But that's often, this can often prevent having to send them for x-ray or doing a lab examination, because they'd be able to work it out. Unfortunately, she couldn't do it this time with Nancy, but it's just such a lovely thing to have in specializations. Does make them a bit expensive, but there we are. So who have we got here? So we have Richard Lee. We know the diagnosis, but she is just going through the interview and getting those symptoms that she can work out just by talking to him. What's this? Diagnosing a patient proved to be difficult for a doctor. Now this is another thing. If we just where is he? Which doctor is he with? Right, so this doctor is having trouble diagnosing Frank here, and we can see that they're an attending. So this can happen with unqualified doctors. Not only may they make mistakes in diagnosing them incorrectly, they also have a tendency to overcompensate. Sometimes they will send them to a ward, even though they may just need some cream or something like that. That can happen as well. And the other thing is that they can't diagnose the patient. They just need a little bit of help getting through the process. So I could change this patient straight to general surgery, because we know that this is going to be a general surgery issue, and that would take them away straight away. And look, actually, if we look at this, we've only got lab work left. So actually, I think I am fairly inclined to do it. We can see here there's some discomfort for Frank. They've got muscle and joint pain, and they've also got discomfort from the abdominal pain. So this one and this one, and we can see that these two meds are recommended to deal with these symptoms, which will just help reduce Frank's discomfort and make him more comfortable, which will help with our prestige, which is always nice. The higher the prestige, the more money you get, and the more patients that come into the hospital, and lots of other things like that. So, high prestige is a good thing. Obviously, why wouldn't it be? And then I think we will also change them to general surgery, because on general surgery, who specialise in these sorts of things, hepatitis, they have some other tests available. So we'd be able to do a UCG, which is an ultrasonography, and it is a medical imaging technique using ultrasound waves, resulting in visualization of both soft and hard tissues and organs. So what's nice about a UCG is its discomfort is very low, and we want to cause our patients as low discomfort as possible, just to try and keep this nice and high. And it might actually tell us whether we're dealing with A or B without having to do lab work, but we'll find out. And we'll also, because hopefully the doctor on general surgery will have the advanced diagnosis, we'll do the differential, and again we might be able to avoid, because these have medium, mind you, that has low discomfort. I suppose they just go to the toilet, don't they, and pee into a cup. So the urine one's not so bad, but we don't really want to draw blood because there is a higher discomfort level in that. So if I can do it without causing them discomfort or very low discomfort, that's what I would like to do. At the same time, no, they do have different meds, yeah, so we'll do that. And that just means that David here is now off the hook. Okay, great. And he will now walk over to the walk-in clinics over at General Surgery. In fact, we might follow Frank for a little bit. That might be nice. Back over here with Jessica. Now, Jessica has said, hey, you have beef tapeworm. Lovely. And here are your meds for it. And then she will prescribe him the medication. Now, we can see here that she has a paper tray. And she can write prescriptions from a paper tray perfectly fine. That's not a problem. If we oops, this is not what I want. If we select a doctor's office, we can see here paper holder. Paper holder is used to write prescriptions by hand, and it says there that the printer is more effective. So if we removed her paper tray and replaced it for the more expensive printer, a printer is used to print prescriptions. The paper holder is a cheaper alternative. But the benefit with the printer is that she will prescribe medications faster. So if you have a very busy clinic, a very small way just to capitalize on how many patients that you can get through a room in a day is to upgrade to a printer. So that's a thing worth noting. It's a small thing, could be easily missed, but it does help. And she would spend less time standing there writing this out. She would just quickly print it. So that's really, really nice. So we can see here that some of them have printers and some of them don't. So there's probably a paper holder behind there as well. And we can also see that we have some smaller rooms and some larger rooms here. And I've noticed that if I micromanage, we can get a lot more patients through here than if I don't micromanage. And of course, we don't want to micromanage all the time. We don't. But that means it takes longer to process patients through here. So it's more expensive because we'd have to employ more staff and build more equipment to not micromanage. So if you're trying to save money, micromanaging is definitely the way to do that. And you've seen throughout most of the series how I would micromanage this to keep costs down. But if we've got money coming in, which we do, then maybe a slightly more expensive option so that we can micromanage this less is nice. But let's start with just checking over our doctors that we have in this department. And where is Frank? So where is Frank? He has come to the general surgery. You are here, aren't you? This is general surgery. It looks like he's being called. What? He's coming here? Why would he be coming here? Surely does he not go to the clinic first? Not sure. Let's see where Frank goes. This is interesting because these are the two clinics. So he has sat all the way on this side. How bizarre. How bizarre. What on earth are you doing, Frank? So let's just follow him a moment. And it looks like, mind you, doesn't look like he's been given a doctor yet, but I suppose it's... Oh no, look, he's come straight into here. He is seeing to get his UCG, so he has come straight for his UCG. That's great to know that he didn't come and talk to these first. I thought that he would have come to talk to the clinic doctors here first, but he hasn't. He's come straight for his UCG with Robert Davis here. That's fantastic, who deals only with clinic patients, so he's always quickly available. Well, that's wonderful. So let's see, will it tell us which of these? What is nice is that you can click on here and open up a table, and we can see that these are the two possible diagnoses and what symptoms both of them exhibit. So what you could do, and this is something that I tend to do when I'm not recording, is you could see if there is one symptom between them that would help you identify which specific hepatitis A or B that it might be. So we can see here that possibly this portal hypertension, we can see that it's there for hepatitis B, but it isn't there for A. And if we hover over it, it says the way to find this is to do a UCG. So we just did a UCG and we didn't find it. So chances are is that he does probably have hepatitis A. So that's if you wanted to go ahead and just diagnose him yourself, and say, right, well, now we know the meds, it is just rest, he would now go and get his prescriptions and be sent home. And that's something that you could, that's a really good way of doctoring yourself through this process. It is a nice way to go. But we can see here, speech listening could help find hepatitis A. Did we do this? It doesn't look like it's actually on the list as an examination, which is a bit disappointing. But it seems that confusion comes with A rather than B. Or saying that, what's that one? Is this just fatigue? Right, okay, it's a bit more chronic at that point. So dark urine, here we go. So we suspect as a player that they've probably got hepatitis A, and one of the symptoms of hepatitis A is dark urine, and the urine analysis is a low discomfort. So we'll pop that on there. Chances are as a differential might cover this. It probably will, but hey, we'll do both things there. We'll try and see that one through for Frank. Thank you, Robert, for doing that. So back over here, who have we got? And you can see here that she is giving her enough meds not just to treat the main illness, but she's also giving her meds to help increase her discomfort, dealing with all the things that are making her feel really unwell, like the vomiting and the fever and the nausea and stuff like that. So and I've got a feeling if you do it on low, they don't necessarily deal with discomfort. They just go with the meds for the illness they believe that it is as well. So that's a nice benefit of medium, just taking that little bit of extra time to care for the patient. So what doctors do we have during the day, at least, on our walk-in clinic? We've got a whole bunch of them here. We can see that not all the offices are even full, but a really good way I would feel if you wanted more rooms here, is actually to go to the smaller rooms, maybe even remove the toilets, because we do have some toilets here, so we could absolutely put more rooms in if we felt we needed them. But I don't think we'd need to, looking at it. But I tell you what, we might create our own doctor's office. Just to go through the process, see if we can reduce how often the doctor moves around, keeping them in the office more, because they do have a tendency to walk away a lot, and it can really slow down the processing through these, and it really, really bothers me. So we can see here that David Wilson doesn't have his differential, but I'm inclined to keep him through, because he gets training, he gets experience for everybody that he treats in his office. Where is he at the moment? He is currently idle. You see, he must be at his desk and we just can't see him yeah, look, there he is. But I am going to keep him because I don't like dismissing people if I don't have to. And look at this. He's a nice staff. He gets the nice staff modifier when he deals with people, and his rest levels decrease slower, which means he'll leave the office less. So I do really like him. So we are going to keep him, despite the fact that he might be a little underqualified for the job, just for my own personal thing, and straight away, look here, he's having trouble with Judy. So you can see here, actually, according to performed examinations, it's not possible for the patient to have the selected diagnosis. So here is a perfect case of the wrong diagnosis because we have it on that medium certainty. So it's actually a fracture that Judy has here. So we've removed the wrong diagnosis. We now know with absolute certainty that it is actually a fracture. So we don't need to do the physical examination. We can see that she's got some discomfort from her hand injury, and so we can give her a bandage for that. It's possible throughout, let's do player control, it's possible throughout the interview we might find out more. No, let's find out, because we've noticed here that she's getting some discomfort from something else that is unknown. I'm assuming just for the fact that it's a fracture. But let's see if we can find out specifically what it is. And then we might be able to give her some sort of treatment other than her absolute cure. Just to make sure. We want that comfort at absolute max if we can. So we're going to give our boy here the opportunity to see if he can find out what symptom here is giving her discomfort. That would be fantastic. But we also know that an arm cast is the solution here, so we're going to prescribe that as well. He's put the bandage on, so our hand injury will now go away, meaning that pain, that symptom has been suppressed. So you can see our discomfort level has increased, which is fantastic. Oh, is that Frank? Oh, a clinic patient spent half the day without being treated or hospitalised. What are you talking about? Oh, it's a different person. It's a different person. That's fine. Robert King, off you go. Ooh, look. So, yes, the differential did it. So he did do the urine sample, but he didn't need it through... Oh, hang on a minute. It's saying that. No, maybe... It says here that the differential finished and did not reveal anything, yet we know that it's hepatitis A, and his urine analysis doesn't look like it's come back yet. It's in progress. That's fine. Well, they've gone with it. It's hepatitis A. Maybe they redid an interview and she just decided. If we have a look at her, look, she has advanced diagnosis, plus she has practical diagnosis, which is a 20% bonus experience to diagnosing skills. So it's possible just through having a chat with him, she could work out what it was without needing the differential. And there we are. So he has been treated and is being sent home. Oh, well, that's wonderful. So that's great news for him, and shows a little bit of benefit with her as well. So what have we got going on over here at the moment? There we go. Let's have a look. So through the interview, we did manage to find a whole bunch of symptoms, and we can see this one's particularly red. Hand pain, which is probably what's causing her the discomfort. There it is, hand pain. And hovering over it lets us know that if we prescribe these, it will get rid of that, and then we can get 5 stars in her discomfort thing, which means, and then once she gets treated, her satisfaction will probably go up as well, although she was wrongly diagnosed, and we can see there that actually has a negative effect on it, but hopefully being correctly treated will help. So we're putting her arm in a cast, which and we're giving her the pain meds, so now she has no discomfort. But yes, even though she's been treated, we have lost those 2 stars, and I think it was because she is wrongly diagnosed, so rip. A little bit annoying. Anywho, so another one that we have here. Ooh, Brooke Martin. She's fantastic. Look at her. So a schedule has finished. Oh, yes. Yeah, we took player control. That's fine. We no longer need to player control her. So Brooke, like the other doctor that we just saw in the other department, she has advanced diagnosis because she is a specialist, but she also has the 20% bonus experience. This is something that I do tend to look for when I'm in the clinic, because they can discover symptoms much faster, even with something as simple as an interview, without having to get too intrusive. So we can see that she's going to do a physical examination. She might be able to diagnose this with just that, but if not, she'll probably... We got a couple of very nice things here. This has medium discomfort, so I would rather, if she couldn't do it from physical, that she would go with a differential. She didn't need it. Because she's so good at diagnosing a physical examination. She just looked at it and she knew, and she's given them the meds. There's no discomfort, so we've got 5 stars, and hopefully, so she's comfortable, nice environment, and I'm hoping that maybe when she gets her prescription, there we go, to 5 stars. Well done. So Brooke here, fantastic. We don't want to be replacing Brooke at all. She's absolutely marvellous. We have Fraser over here, who has the same thing going on. This is because I tend to look for these doctors, right? Okay, so these are clearly ones that I've employed. Advanced diagnosis and also the practical diagnosis. So that's fantastic. We'll be keeping him, that specialist. And then we also have Robert Jones. Now, Robert Jones has gone in a very unusual direction. So it's possible that we've had Robert Jones on staff for a while. And during that time, he has been promoted from attending to fellow. He's gained enough experience here to be promoted. And then he picked his own specialisation, which is ridiculous. We don't want that for this department. So we're just going to click on it and we're going to say, no, don't do this. You're not working in surgery. We would like you to start practicing advanced diagnosis. So he'll now start getting experience in that, which is why in these notifications, if we get rid of these, oh no, fine. I think I needed the notifications. Another way to get to it, of course, is the main menu. Notification options is that there's one here for an employee leveled up. I've now asked for that to pop up because I can then start keeping an eye on these. But that was a nice example. But yeah, I like the experience to pop up because then you can just make sure that they're picking sensible specializations for the location that they work. And he's also great. Look, he does not cause any discomfort during examinations, which is a fantastic trait for one of these doctors to have. So it means that if you do something a little bit more invasive, their comfort will still stay high, which is fantastic. He takes 20% less celery. It's always with the celery, isn't it? Salary. So he's nice and cheap. And then his rest levels decrease slower. So Robert is really fantastic, and he's now going to start building up his advanced diagnosis as well. So really pleased about that. And we're happy with Jessica also. So that's absolutely fantastic. Really, really happy with them. So we've got some great doctors here. What is this? So according to the performed examinations, we have a wrong diagnosis. Okay, so it's a fracture. We'd like to give them a leg cast, would we? Do we have any discomfort? We do, from leg injury. Bandage. Let's give them a bandage. Just see if we can get that up. Okay, there we go. So we'll get them sorted out. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, please hit that like button. As long as you are here, why not take your first step on the path to total coolness by supporting me via Patreon. The cooler you are, the harder I work, which means even more SHIZWAH.